our supervisor training, so you can set up user roles and set up your users and things like that. Okay, looks like we're back. Dropped out on me for a second. So, okay, so what we're going to take you through today is our user settings and our user roles. So this training is going to be dedicated to current supervisors or administrators for our enhanced online banking. If you currently do not have an administration tab under business apps or not the supervisor for an enhanced business, this training is probably not going to be very beneficial to you, but you're welcome to join and see what the system looks like. We are going to be having separate user, a user webinar that's going to take you through the whole system. We're going to show you how to view your transactions, go through ACH and wires and all of the things that have changed in the new system. So that would be a really beneficial thing for anybody that's just a basic user to review. So with that, we'll go ahead and jump into it. This is the home screen here. From the home screen, what you're going to do is you're going to go to the Settings tab, and now there's going to be a User Roles section. So how the new system works is you will set up user roles and then give user roles access to accounts and various features within online banking, and then you will add users to those roles. So on the user roles screen, you're going to have the ability to create a brand new role from scratch. You can also use the user role templates that are built into the system. So you see there are various ones that are already set up. You can view any of these by clicking on the magnifying glass, and that will load up a view only, and it will show you what this role has access to. So you can quickly see if this role is going to work for you, or if you're going to have to make any tweaks for it, or you can choose a different role. So if we go back to the user roles and our templates, and then you can choose a different role. Whenever you find a role that you'd like, you just click on the copy, and then it's going to load up the new user role. So for this one, you can change the name. It's always going to default to copy of whatever if you're using a template. And then it's going to have a description of what users within this role are going to have access to. So then we just click on continue. And for this role, being payables and receivables, there's going to be already pre-selected features and transaction types. From here, you can select a transaction type if you want to make any edits to that. So for collections, we can click on that, and it's going to take us into the ACH collections section here. There are 3 different tabs that we can choose from. Allowed actions. Here, you can set up specific policies. So say for this role, you only wanted somebody to be able to draft or approve or anything like that. You can set dollar amounts. You can set up your subsidiaries if you have multiple companies under your profile. And then you can also select the accounts that collections would be able to be pulled into. So for my role, if I only want them to use the checking, I can go ahead and save that and click OK. And now for this role, they're only allowed to do collections into the business checking and not to the other accounts. There is a policy tester. So within the policy tester, once you have your user role set up, you can set up scenarios for the specific user function, whether or not they could draft, approve or cancel an item, a dollar amount, the account, and the subsidiary. So we can go ahead and you can set up to the checking. And then if I go ahead and click test, it's going to run through a test, and it's going to tell me whether or not, based upon those actions, if it's going to be allowed. And then it'll show you the different tabs here. So all of these items are allowed according to the bank policy, the company policy, and the user role policy as well. So if a user tried to draft a collection for $1,000 going to my business checking, it's going to be approved. And so you can run through different scenarios using that policy tester to make sure that is going to work for your users there. And once all of that is good and saved, then you can go to your next transaction type, or if you're okay with everything, you can just click Save at the top. We'll go to the next one here, the Rights tab. So for the Rights tab, within the new system, as you put users into roles, they're going to have the ability to view transactions in different ways. You can select that they can view all of the transactions for the entire company for this transaction type. They can only view their own transactions that they set up. They can view transactions done by themselves or others that are within this exact same role, or you can lock this to where they cannot view any transactions at all. And then lastly is the approval limits. So in this section here, you can set up a per transaction limit, per day, per month, and then you can set up maximum transaction limits that they can do here as well. And then if you want to turn off ACH collections for this particular role, you can enable or disable right from this toggle switch here. So if I turn this off and I go back to my overview, now if I see down here ACH collections is turned off, so this role does not have any access to collections at all. I want to turn that back on. I can click back into my collections. I can turn that back on. And if I go back to my overview, then I'll see that ACH collections is turned on again. Next tab over is our Features tab. So the Features tab is going to show you the different rights that a user will have within online banking. So if we scroll down here, we can see different rights as far as if they're going to be making payments or collections. You can turn off access to recipients. So we can turn on, they can view all, they can allow one-time recipients, they can upload from a batch. So if your company utilizes an Excel file or an ACH or Nacha type file, you are able to upload payments from a batch. Information reporting, this will be something that we will talk more in depth about during the user training webinar that we will have, but it's a new function within online banking that you can have some additional reports that you can sign up for, and then they can run automatically. You can run them on demand, but those are something that, as I said, we'll talk about in depth a little bit later. But you can also choose under the user role whether or not this user is going to be able to have access to set up and view those reports. Under the transactions section, allowing ACH company entry description entry. So turning that on will allow the user, when they're setting up a payment or collection, to type in a custom company entry description that will go out with the payment. And then some custom features down here, whether or not they're going to be able to change e-statement preferences. So if you want to switch this user, if you toggle that on, they can change between paper or e-statements. If you do not want to give that user the ability to change the statement preference, you can turn that off. We also have a new loan payment form. We'll talk about that again in depth on the user training. And then we have some corporate roles here, whether or not you can turn on and off reporting or managing user roles. You can toggle that on and off, and then mobile deposit down here as well. So that's an overview of the features, and then you can just toggle those on and off, like I said, just by clicking on that tile. The last tab is the Accounts tab. So here you can customize the access that you're going to be giving users, whether or not they can view, withdrawal, or deposit from the accounts. And then once all of this is saved and it looks good, I just click Save at the top. And then it's going to save my policy. And I can close out of that. And if I want to go back and view all of my user roles, I can just click back to the User Roles tab here. And now you'll see that we have some roles already set up at the bottom here with some descriptions. So we have our Supervisor, who's got full admin rights to all features and all accounts. We have Payables, we have a Receivables, and then we have a Payables and Receivables both. So here you can see all of the roles that you have set up currently. If you want to make any edits to any of the roles that you have, you can click on the little pencil icon, and it's going to take you back into that user roles screen. And then here you can make those edits to transaction types, features, and account access there. If you want to create a new role and base it upon one that you already have, you can copy that as well. And then if you want to delete a role entirely, if it's not being utilized, you can just click on the trash can on the right-hand side here. Once you have your user roles all defined, then it's time for you to set up your users. So we go back to the Settings menu, and we click on Users. From here, it's going to show you any users that are already signed up for the system, and then you can add a brand new user from the upper right-hand corner here. Here you'll enter in the user details, first and last name, email address, their phone number, and down below you're going to set up their login ID. You'll set up a password and confirm the password, and then you'll set the user role that they're going to be assigned into. So you can select any of the user roles that you have currently set up, and then you'll just click on Save New User Details, and then it's going to create that new user, and it's going to take you back to the main user screen. So after that new person is created, then it'll take you back to this user management screen, and you'll be able to see that new user on this screen here. If you click the Edit User button from the user management screen here, what you can do on this screen is you can edit their status. So if you have an employee that's left and you want to deactivate them, you can do that from here. Or you can change their role. So it'll show you the current role that they're in now. So this is my supervisor user, so they're in that Macatawa test supervisor role. If I wanted to change to any of the other roles, I can just select from the drop-down and update that role, and then they'll be placed into a different role. It's also going to show you their login and the last time that they logged in here. And then it will show you some of their personal details here. But none of that is, you cannot edit that after you set them up once. So we'll go back here. That is kind of a flyover of our user roles and setting up users. So now we want to just kind of open it up. If there's any questions, you can utilize that Q&A or the chat feature if you have any questions for us at all. Okay, so seeing some of the chats that are coming in, we'll go ahead and answer some of those questions. As far as the migration is concerned, all of your users are going to be migrated over with the exact permissions that they have currently. So they will be set up in their own role. So when you go out to this user role screen, you will see each user's name listed out under their own custom role. And they will be, as I said, they'll be given access to exactly the same things that they have now. So just kind of reviewing some more of the chats that are coming in here. As the user roles and as you log into the new system, as I mentioned before, you will see all of your users and they're going to be migrated with current features. Just something to check would be, once you first log in, just go ahead and review their user role and make sure that everything does look good. We did do our best to try to map everything perfectly, but there are a little deviation between our current system and the new system, so you might want to just double check and activate or inactivate some of the things that you would not want them to have. There's some questions in regards to wire transfers within the new system. Domestic wires are still going to be available, but we are also going to be adding a single sign-on for international wires. So customers that utilize that, you will not have to go to a separate login screen. You can log directly into international wires from the commercial tab. And then as far as logging in is concerned, we have gotten some chat questions about the initial login process. So how that's going to work on the go live that is targeted for the 16th. When you go to log in, you'll just use your regular login ID and password that you are currently using, and that will log you into the system. And then on your first login, the system will have you reset your password to a new password on that first login. And then after that, the system will ask you to verify a secure access code. So similar to one-time PINs that we have in the current system, those are just now going to be called secure access codes. So you will have to be able to choose whether you want that to be a call or a text, or those will be shown on the screen of what you have set up currently, and you'll get that code and enter it on the screen. And then you can select whether or not you want to register the device that you're logging in on. So if you choose not to register, you will have to enter your secure access code the next time you log in again. If you register the device, then the next time you log in on that exact same device, it will not ask you for the code when you log in. Okay, looking through the chats and the questions here, looks like there's quite a few questions in regards to ACHs and wires that are currently set up within the system. So those will all be migrated over. So any ACHs, internal transfers, wires, domestic wires, those will be transferred over into the new system with the same exact information that you have now. As far as everything that we have gone through today, we are recording these sessions, so you can go back and re-watch these sessions. We will also have videos that we have recorded that we're going to put out on our homepage, and then there is going to be an in-depth user guide that walks through the entire system, and it will touch on the admin settings, user role settings, and things like that. We have had a lot of questions in regards to just kind of the look and feel and how to navigate the system and things like that. We will be touching on that in the user training webinar. That one is going to be an in-depth. We're going to walk you through all the tabs. We're going to show you how to set up transactions, get reports, get your statements, and everything like that. So if you have not signed up for one of those user trainings and you'd like to see the system in its entirety and have us walk through that, I would just encourage you to sign up for one of those user trainings. We do have one tomorrow, and then we have some additional ones next week as well. If you did want to sign up for the user training, the marketing email that was sent out to you should have the additional links for the supervisor and the user trainings both, so you can see the day and times that we will have those available, and you can click on the link to register for one of the user trainings from there. All right, we haven't seen any new questions come in. So if there are any, if there is anything else, let us know now. If not, we're going to go ahead and close down the webinar. So I'll give people a few more minutes to ask any last questions, and then we'll shut it down after that. As far as the additional information of where you're going to be able to view these recordings, the ACH and the system user guide and the videos, those will all be available on our homepage under macatawabank.com, and we're going to put those out under the business section. So that's where you're going to be able to retrieve those. We do not anticipate emailing out the user guide to all the participants at this time.